The next bill will be H5132 by Ruggiero, biodiesel products. It's an act relating to health and safety, biodiesel, amends the compliance standards for heating oil, bio-based products, providing a minimum standard for percentage of bio-based product that certain types of heating oil must contain. Representative Ruggiero, you there?
Yes, I am, Chairman. Good
The
evening.
floor is yours.
Thank you, members of the committee. Many of you may have heard this bill in the past. We've been working on this for 3 years now. The bill before you increases the requirements, just like the chairman said, of the bio-based product, which is the used cooking oil and the grease that many restaurants have. They turn it into renewable biomass that is blended with heating oil. You'll hear from Bob Martin from Newport Biodiesel, who can get into the specifics. The bill increases the biomass product. Back in 2013, the General Assembly passed this law. Where prior to that, restaurants were just throwing away the cooking grease. Now it's being converted into biofuel for home heating oil. Currently, we're at a 5% blend, and the bill before you increases that biodiesel blend to 10% in 2023, 20% in 2025, and then 50% by 2030. Why is this important? Well, because the oil industry recognizes they need to work on their carbon footprint. They certainly want to stay in business. They want to be relevant and modernized. And so they want to do what's right, too, for the health of all of us in the community. They actually help frame this bill. So that's why it's been really important over the past 3 years to get all of the players at the table. When people build homes, they can go with gas or they can go with electric, but now with these biodiesel blends, it's more efficient and it makes oil much cleaner. And it is about reducing the greenhouse gas effects, emissions. You'll also hear from Roberta Fagan. I think she's still on the line. She's the executive director of the Energy Marketers Association of Rhode Island. She'll have data for you. I think we're up to about 32% of homeowners in Rhode Island who are using biodiesel. The bill has been supported and is supported by the New England Fuel Institute, several terminal operators, the National Biodiesel Board, and you also should have in your packet a letter from the Green Energy Consumers Alliance. They too are supporting this because of the reduction of the greenhouse gas emissions. And also, there's a letter from DEM. They are also in support, but they are requesting a technical change, and that was actually a drafting error that we just didn't catch, substituting biodiesel for biofuel. So I just want to thank all of the stakeholders. We've worked really hard over the last several years to get this to the point where it's at, which is that we finally have consensus. And I want to thank the members for listening. And I will turn it over to the people who are here to testify, or if anybody has any questions. Thank you for listening.
Any questions for Representative Ruggiero? Representative Fenton-Fong.
Representative Ruggiero, thanks so much for your leadership on this. So this might not be a question for you, but hopefully those who are listening and testifying on this later will help me out on it. When we're looking at increasing the B20, B50, which includes significant portions of this biodiesel matter, and I apologize if I'm not using the right term. Is there any effect, as a homeowner, I would just say, all right, can I use my heating system the way it is right now? Is this compatible with that? And then I think about the oil tank that I just paid to replace. Does that break it down any faster? Or are these, proven to be
It's a
sufficient?
great question, Rep. It's been asked every year. You're new to the committee, so I expected somebody to ask it tonight. And the answer is yes, the systems can take care of that. That's come up, every year. But I'm going to defer that to the experts who can get into the nitty gritty. But the bottom line is yes, the heating systems are capable of taking care of B10, B5, B20. I think by the time we get up to some of the higher levels, at that point, some of the furnace systems may even be replaced. But they definitely can, and I appreciate that question because it comes up every year, especially as a homeowner, right?
Right, thank you so much.
You bet.
Any other questions? For the committee, I'd like to let you know that there's no opposition to this bill. Everybody is pro.
It's taken a long time to get to that, Chairman.
I bet it has, Deb. I really do. I've seen it. Our first witness will be Hank Webster. Hank, you there? Oh,
Hank is busy
nope.
tonight.
I gotta wait for the angels to come down. Hi, Hank. Can you hear me,
Hello.
Hank?
Yes.
You're a
Thank
busy
you.
man tonight, huh?
I'm happy to be able to do so much on one night. It's a pleasure, and glad to see you all. Wish we could do it in person, but I'm finally testifying on behalf of the organization I represent. So my name is Hank Webster, and I am the Rhode Island director of Acadia Center. We are a clean energy advocacy and research organization that operates throughout the Northeast. We're a nonprofit and independently funded, so we're not tied to any trade association. We support the effort to reduce the carbon intensity of home heating fuels as one part of a clean heating strategy for the state. We would encourage the industry to also move quickly to adopt more aggressive standards to reach the B100 mandate, which is the ultimate goal for decarbonization. B100 is commercially available today, but my experience is that you can't really have it delivered. You can go pick it up. That might be inaccurate. I'd welcome correction from the industry itself. So the problem is that most boilers in homes today, and Rep. Fenton Fung did sort of touch on this, the problem is that most boilers in homes today would have problems with burning the higher blends beyond that certain point. There's warranty implications, and so we can't just put it out into homes as is. So as part of this broader effort and what this bill, I think, hopes to achieve, the fuel suppliers and the HVAC installers should also be required to develop programs that will enable the homeowners to actually use B100. And so whether that requires additional or special deliveries of on trucks that are only delivering B100 that day, or installing the new technologies in homes when you're doing a boiler replacement, that all needs to be part of a coordinated plan, rather than just replacing with similar technology that is also going to be unable to burn the higher blends over the course of its rather lengthy life. So we need to have a coordinated program there. And the lack of these options that I just kind of touched on is just one of the many reasons that I have removed my oil boiler and fuel tank entirely, and now rely on electric heat pumps, which run at least 300% more efficiently than oil boilers and gas furnaces. So that's the bigger part of the clean energy and decarbonized heating future. So in addition to this bill, the committee should also move to adopt a state goal for adoptions of electric heat pumps. Maine, for instance, has adopted a goal of 100,000 installations over the next 5 years, and we are nowhere near that. And since we don't have that goal, our HVAC industry is not moving quickly enough to make those investments. And so new boilers and furnaces are getting installed all the time, and instead of the more efficient heat pumps, and we will then have to deal with that problem for the next 20, 30 years or longer, whatever that system life is. So that effort, and then also stopping the expansion of natural gas infrastructure in the state, are really other key components to getting to this decarbonized heating sector. It's economically unnecessary to extend gas infrastructure, and it presents enormous health, safety, and environmental risks. That's it for my testimony. I really thank you for the opportunity to testify. I look forward to, and Acadia Center looks forward to, working with you to create a comprehensive clean heating pathway for all of Rhode Island. So I'd be happy to take any questions.
Representative Fogarty.
Hank, what would be the cost of these heat pump, more efficient systems that you're discussing versus, your typical gas system or oil burning system? Oil boiler burning system, I guess I should call it.
She just did it last week.
Is there a cost?
Yes, there is. Sorry, I thought I heard another question in the background. Yes, so I think a big function of it is if you can time your replacement or your switch of the heating systems to when your system is at failure, you will see, a much smaller cost increase, and that will be paying back over time through the efficiencies. So I can give you my personal example. For instance, through the utility programs offered in the state that all ratepayers can tap into, I was able to weatherize and change out my heating system for my home, all for around $10,000. Now, that sounds like a big upfront cost, but replacing my boiler, all of those things, and also these systems act as air conditioning units, so I got central air as well. So when you start adding those costs up, there's actually not any or very little upfront cost increases. And then again, because they're more efficient, I'm seeing the payback every year. So I'm on track to pay back my entire system without, the incentives or anything like that over the course of 4 to 5 years, depending on how the winters are. And that's because of the fluctuating cost of oil, the higher efficiencies, the lower maintenance costs. These things run, pretty much nonstop all winter, and I don't have to do anything to them except for rinse off an air filter or change an air filter. So that's the way to think about this. And in new construction especially, it really doesn't make any sense to put fossil fuels in. So.
Oh, great, thank you.
This is not the bill.
Yep, thank you.
Any other questions? I see none. Hank, thank you very much for your testimony this evening. You have a great night. Our next witness will be Roberta Fagan. Hi, Roberta.
I'm waiting. I'm here.
All right. The floor is yours.
Thank you.
You there?
I'm here.
Go ahead.
Sorry, just one moment. I apologize. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good evening, Chairman Bennett and members of this committee. My name is Roberta Fagan, Executive Director of Energy Marketers Association of Rhode Island. I appreciate the opportunity to give testimony in support of House Bill 5132 relating to health and safety biodiesel products. But first, I would like, on behalf of myself and the Energy Marketers Association of Rhode Island, to thank you, members of the committee, Rep. Deb, all of our Rhode Island leadership and policymakers. Your work is instrumental in keeping Rhode Island going, and especially in times like these. It was almost a year ago to the day that we stood in person before the committee on February 13th, 2020, and presented this amended legislation with a scheduled increase from the current 5% biodiesel blend to 10% in 2023, 20% in 2025, and 50% in 2050. We didn't know then that the world would be essentially shut down due to COVID-19 pandemic. My colleagues and I left your chambers that evening optimistic about the passage of our bill. We are here again, as sad and tragic and challenging 2020 was. 2021 brings a sense of hope, positive change, and promise. The Biodiesel Home Heating Act was a good bill. Now is the time to make it better, more progressive, relevant piece of legislation, better aligned with Rhode Island's long-term clean energy goals, and that is captured in H5132. For context, approximately 97% of delivered fuel marketers are multi-generational family-owned businesses, very typically serving their constituents' needs for decades. The delivered fuel sector makes up about 31% of the space heating, approximately 129,000 households here in Rhode Island. Over the last 3 decades, with the help of the National Oil Heat Research Alliance, the National Biodiesel Board, the National Energy and Fuels Institute, and many other trade associations in the energy sector across the nation, we have made tremendous inroads in cleaning up our environmental profile with cleaner burning liquid fuel, advances in technology with higher efficiency equipment, and an advanced smart controls. And it is ongoing. Our industry prides itself on being innovative, forward-thinking problem solvers. That is what we do best, provide space heating and cooling comfort solutions. With my written testimony, I provided 2 technical study documents, the IHS market study Heating Oil Transitioning to BioBlend 2023 through 2050, and the Kearney Report, Roadmap to Success, Achieving a Net Zero Carbon Future by 2050. Both provide the science and technical data needed to help you make an informed decision for Rhode Island energy consumers. Your constituents have entrusted in you the responsibility to identify sustainable energy solutions, ensuring equitable, healthy outcomes for all Rhode Island. We are racing against the clock to meet our state and regional greenhouse gas reduction goals and renewable energy goals. H 5132 is a seamless bridge solution to help Rhode Island meet those goals. We respectfully ask members of this committee to use this window of opportunity to realize the immediate carbon reduction benefits of higher biodiesel blends and vote to support passage of this amended legislation. In closing, on a lighter note, I'd like to share the philosophy of one of our member companies. If it ain't broke, that doesn't mean it still can't be improved. H 5132 is a bold and innovative step for Rhode Island, which will contribute and ensure a sustainable, equitable, clean energy economy and future. I'm happy to answer any questions or follow up offline. I would like to comment that I did have my own house, which is a 1,400 square foot ranch, very simple house. I did have it spec'd out for air source heat pump installation, and it was a combined wall unit as well as a ducted unit. With the rebates that are available to home heating oil companies through National Grid, I did qualify for rebates, but less than what natural gas or electric resistant heating consumers would qualify for. In all, my quote came up to roughly $18,000 to install that type of advanced technology. I would also like to say that I appreciate Hank's comments and concerns as far as warranty invalidations. I will say that our industry has been working furiously to create a coordinated plan to address those issues. We do not want to create chaos. We want to be part of the solution. And as far as warranties are concerned, a lot of warranties are limited to a 5-year window or maybe 2 more additional years. A lot of the boiler furnaces that are in our homes today are 30-plus years old. We definitely would encourage the public to upgrade to higher efficiency equipment, but we can't be completely supportive of whole home heating and air conditioning substitution. If anything, supplemental is something that we can support, but especially in the critically cold months of the year, we do not want our consumers to be vulnerable to electric surges where they can't get the comfort that they can with heating their homes with our advanced bioheat fuel. Thank you for your time. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them. Thank you again for your consideration.
Any questions for Roberta? Seeing none, thank you, Roberta. Very informative. Have a good night. Our next witness is Drew Carlson. Drew, you there?
Hi, I'm here.
Hi, the floor is yours, Drew.
Okay.
Thank you for your time. If you have any questions,
That's great testimony. You there, Drew?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Go ahead, Drew. The floor is yours.
Well, thank you to Chairman Bennett and members of the committee. My name is Drew Carlson from Global Partners. Global is based out of Waltham, Massachusetts. We're a leading distributor and marketer for a variety of energy products in the Northeast and down to the Mid-Atlantic. Within Rhode Island, Global operates one wholesale petroleum terminal and operates over 11 gas stations and convenience stores. Bioheat's a sustainable, renewable energy source made domestically in the United States, and we believe it burns cleaner and more efficiently than traditional home heating oil that was used generations ago. We really see Bioheat as a symbol of the evolution of the home heating oil industry. Global used to deliver coal and ice back in the early 1900s, and it's really just another adaptation in a way that to show that the way the industry has changed over the years. Global also operates at facilities in Massachusetts where we're seeing great benefits in the expanded use of clean, renewable biofuel, and we've seen significant reductions in greenhouse gas emissions. Under the Alternative Energy Portfolio Standard, which is the APS program in Massachusetts, the program incentivizes biofuel blends of 10% or higher, and we've seen emissions have been cut by home heating oil has been cut by 35 million gallons since the program first started back in 2018. The APS program, again, just shows us that replacing conventional heating oil with increasing percentages of liquid biofuels is the most expedient and really the cost-effective path to aggressive carbon emissions reductions. We're seeing more than 80 retail heating oil companies across the Commonwealth are participating, and that number is expected to grow in 2021 and beyond. So again, I just want to reiterate our support for H5132, and thank you for the careful consideration of these comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Drew. Any questions for Drew? Thank you, Drew. You have a good night. Our next witness will be Michael Trunzo. Hi, Michael, you there?
We've seen significant reductions in greenhouse gas emissions. Under the Alternative Energy Portfolio Standard, which is the APS program in Massachusetts, the program incentivizes biofuel blends of
Michael, you there?
higher.
Yes, I am, sir.
Okay, we're getting something coming through.
Home heating oil has been cut by 35.
Do you have something turned up? Can you turn it down?
Yeah, I was listening to the testimony.
No, all right. There you
Is
go.
that better?
The floor is yours, Michael. You can testify for us.
Oh, thank you, sir. Well, good evening, Chairman Bennett and committee members. My name is Michael Trenzo, and I'm with the firm of Schenker, Russo, and Clark. Our firm represents the National Biodiesel Board in the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast states. NBB is the National Trade Association of Producers of Biodiesel, Renewable Diesel, and Sustainable Jet Fuel. National Biodiesel Board supports H5132 by Representative Ruggiero. While we have filed written comments, this evening I'm simply going to touch upon the health benefits of the policy initiative. As was mentioned, the biodiesel industry has been working very closely with the Energy Marketers Association of Rhode Island to reduce greenhouse gas emissions in heating oil. This legislation sets the foundation for a successful transition to deliver a clean-burning, renewable liquid fuel to the oil heat customers in Rhode Island. A 50% blend will further enhance carbon reductions, help the state meet its carbon reduction goals, and bring substantial health benefits to your residents. Biodiesel reduces carbon emissions by an average of 73% as opposed to petroleum diesel, and significantly reduces harmful criteria pollutants that have been shown to lead to chronic health effects, particularly in urban areas. The National Biodiesel Board, along with the American Lung Association, commissioned a study on the health benefits of using biodiesel instead of petroleum diesel. This study looked at census tract areas in certain cities around the country. For Rhode Island in particular, and looked at a census tract in Providence, the preliminary results show biodiesel use would reduce instances of cancer by 86%, along with avoiding premature deaths, 1,190 asthma attacks, and 256 lost workdays. Using the EPA equations for valuing this, it would create about or save about $21.3 million in avoided costs. So the study will be issued later this month, and we'd be happy to share it with the full committee when it's finalized. In closing, I'll note that a transition to a 50% bioheat blend is a seamless one. Biodiesel is locally produced and domestically produced and is readily available. Using higher blends does not require any change to the home heating appliance. I know there was a question earlier, and I will just say that currently there are dealers selling up to 50% biodiesel to their customers and have had no real issues at all, anything different than with regular petroleum diesel. So the market is there in the current appliance realm. And lastly, I'll just say that, current field experience and government tracked data for pricing in New York shows that there's no increased cost to the consumer in making this transition. So thank you very much. And as I mentioned, the National Biodiesel Board fully supports the adoption of H 5132.
Thank you, Michael. Any questions for Michael? Seeing none, Michael, you have a good night. Our last witness is Robert Morton.
Cost to the consumer in making this transition. So thank you very much.
Robert, you there?
I'm here.
Could you turn down any thing you have next to you? Thank you. That's much better. Robert, the floor is yours.
Okay, my name is Robert Morton. I'm the chairman of the board of Newport Biodiesel, and I want to first thank Representative Ruggiero for her efforts and dedication to this, and to the other sponsors who are part of this bill. As she said, we've been working on it a long time, and we've gotten to a point where we do have some consensus here, and I hope that this is the year that we actually make this happen. One of the main reasons why we have consensus is what was called the Providence Resolution, where the New England fuel dealers decided that they needed to do something to make sure that they reduce greenhouse gases in their liquid fuel deliveries. And so they made a commitment to, as Roberta said, get to net zero by 2050. And they made some interim steps, and this bill is lined up to follow those steps so we get to a B50 blend by 2030. Recently, the Heating Sector Transformation Study, which was sponsored by the Rhode Island PUC and the OER, made a statement that, Rhode Island has now a 5% blend in heating oil, but in theory, this blend requirement could be ratcheted up significantly over time. And the opportunity exists for Rhode Island to begin increasing its blending requirements along the lines committed to by the delivered fuel industry. And a lot of that happened because things have changed in the last few years. In addition to the Providence Resolution, there have been other federal programs that support the biodiesel industry, and they've been able to been reinstated and upgraded for the next several years. And this will allow the biodiesel industry to expand significantly in the near future. State legislatures across the country have developed programs to either incentivize or mandate increased blends of biodiesel, and we need to be part of that as we go forward. So I just wanted to respond a bit to what Hank said about B99 or B100 in using things. We actually have a couple of customers that are using B100 in their boilers right now, but when we look at the volumes that are required to provide enough fuel for the heating requirements of New England, there just isn't going to be enough biodiesel by 2030 to be able to go to B100. So we think that we've set up a situation where we have a number of percentages that we can actually meet. That's the important thing. We don't want to overstate what we can do. And so we feel very confident that we can make the blend requirements that we said and provide biodiesel to New England, into Rhode Island to meet that. I think it's really important to know, though, that every time we put a gallon of biodiesel into heating oil, per that gallon reduce the greenhouse gas emissions by about 80%. So that's an important thing that we have to keep in mind. And with the change in the federal administration in the U.S., we'll certainly be more proactive in addressing the problems of climate change. And at every level of government, environmental programs are being initiated, and it's important that Rhode Island continue to lead, and H.R. 5132 serves that objectives. Many other states are working towards higher blended biodiesel in both transportation and heating oil. We need to keep pace with them and actually lead them. So hopefully Rhode Island can remain as a leader in this effort and work toward meeting the objectives that EC4 has set for greenhouse gas reductions in Rhode Island. So I'm certainly willing to answer any questions. And I think people have said quite a bit about how this can work. So thank you.
Any questions for this witness? Not seeing none. Robert, thank you for your time and your testimony. Have a good night. The rest of our testimony is written. Robert Morton is pro. Eric Wilkinson is pro. They're all pro. Mary Jane Sorrentino, Citizens Climate. National Energy and Fuels Institute. Kai Salem. Michael Trunzo. Robert Fagan. And Ryan Mulcahy from DEM, and Debbie says he's pro with amendments. That concludes the hearing on 5132.